In the previous video, we modularized the UI code. In this video, we will connect widgets to actions. We will make the widgets do actually something. And what we'll do is we'll enable a menu item which will close the GUI when we click it. Then we also will add a keyboard shortcut that will close the GUI. We will add some icons via the designer tool. And after importing the UI generated Python code, we will correct the relative paths to the icons. So far, we have created a GUI using the designer, but our widgets don't do much yet. So now we will connect them to actions. Before we do that, let's add a second menu item to our UI. And I've already done that here. The way it works, we've done it before. So under File, I did click Add Separator, which creates a separator line here. Under Type here, I typed an exit. So let's just run it. You know how to do it. We've done it before. So File now has New and Exit, and also some icons that we will add in a moment. So the way to add an icon to a menu item in the Qt Designer is very easy. So we can just highlight menu item in the object inspector. So our first menu item is called Action U. And down here in the property editor, there is a property called icon. And you can click on the drop down arrow and choose file, select choose file, and then browse to a location where you have an icon, and the icons are actually PNG files. So you just select an icon and click OK. Already done that. And so that puts it here. You can see it here, and also Control R runs it. So you can see the icon in front of the menu item. So that's a new one, and I did for exit. The new menu item, I did the X here for exit. So that's nice and easy to do, but towards the end of this video, we will see that it also creates a little bit of problems, which we then will fix. So after we convert the UI code using PyUIC 5 to Python, we've done that already, and I've done it here. So we have a new file. I called it video3 first design. So when we run this, so now our UI code is the same as before, except our menu item new has an icon in front of it, the separator bar, and a new menu item exit with the other image icon in front of it. So right now they don't do anything, but this is our current UI. And from now on, we will work with this purely from our own Python module. So again, the first thing to do is import our design, our main window, into our own class. Same as before, I created a new method though. I called it widget actions. And it's good. You can just create a method and put in pass just to get started. You don't have to implement it yet, just to get started. It's really nice in Python. So, and as you can see, our icons are missing. And I'll explain later why that is. But for now, let's focus on making the exit menu item actually close our GUI. So after we created our method, the next thing to do is to access a new action exit menu item. And we do that as before. We use self UI, this guy here within our own class. So we've done it here for the push button, and that worked. But just to make sure it really works, so I've added a print statement. So let's print it out. Let's run this. So this code will be called automatically from init when we create the class. And so when we run this, you can see the output is PyQt5 Qt widgets Q action object. So our exit menu item is of this type, Q action. That's why I call it actions as well. Now, after printing it out, the next thing we want to do is, let's say, we set the status tip. We've also done that before. Actually, we have in the Qt Designer, we set the status tip for the other menu item. Here we do it within our own Python code. So we're importing the UI and we're adding functionally to the design. So new updates the status bar. That's what we did in Qt Designer, and exit now also updates the status bar, but this time we added this functionality outside of the designer. So this line here, set status tip, creates click to exit application, this text down here. Now here comes the important thing for this video. This is how we actually make the clicking the menu item close our application. So we're using the same thing, self UI action exit, that's a menu item. And here comes the thing, dot triggered dot connect. And we are connecting to self close GUI, and self close GUI is a method we created. And within this method we call self main window, which comes from here, which is our main GUI basically. And we call close on it. That's a built-in function of PyQt5's main window. This is the meat of the whole thing. So this line here. So let's just run it. So now our GUI is running. File, new exit, we click on exit, and it actually closes the running application. Again, so we are referencing our menu item we created in the GUI, in the UI designer. And when this item gets triggered, that means when it gets clicked, we are connecting to the click. We are basically calling this method. So the menu item gets triggered or clicked. And when it gets clicked, what shall happen is we connect it to calling this method. It's a callback function. And within this method, we refer to the self main window variable and we call close on it, which then actually closes our GUI. So this is now before they weren't doing anything. We could do the same with the buttons or anything. So we are using the menu item here. So the action that gets triggered is connecting to this method. Now what's neat is we don't only have to click the menu item. Sometimes you don't know it's even there. We can also set a shortcut. So for the same self UI action exit menu item, we can say set shortcut and it shows Ctrl+Q. So now when we run the GUI and where we now press Ctrl and Q on the keyboard, I'm doing this right now, it also closes the GUI. So the shortcut here connects to the same method here. And just by doing this, because on the menu item we said once the menu item gets triggered, connect to this method. So when we click on it, it gets triggered, but because we set a shortcut, that also triggers it. So we don't have to click it. It's not triggered, it's not only clicked, it's also the keyboard. When we run the GUI and look at the menu item, because we set the shortcut, we can see now exit has the Ctrl+Q shortcut key combination next to it. That's PyQt5. I think that's really cool. When we created the GUI in the Qt designer, we selected two icons. And when we run it from the designer, it works. But when we did import it, it didn't work anymore. It didn't give us any errors, but the icons had disappeared. And the reason why is because there's a relative path. So when we use the Qt designer, this was the path and the designer code is here. So it went ... up one level and then down to icons and then to the icons that are collected in it. And then when we are importing it from a different location, not from the same folder location, so I have it down here. So when we import the module, the UI design module, the path is incorrect, doesn't work anymore. So we can fix that. And one easy way is we can just find our icons here and we can just copy and paste the code from the designer. And we can just copy and paste it in here. That's one way to do it. And then fix it. So instead of ... /icons, we are already on the same level. So we create our own icon and the rest is just copy and paste from here. Just instead of this guy here, that was the wrong path. So we fix it. And when we now run it, we get our icons back, at least one of them. So the exit menu item now has an icon again, and we can do the same for the new menu item. In this video, we connected widgets to actions, so they actually did something, some action. And in this section, we first created our first GUI with PyQt5. We then visually designed GUIs with Qt Designer. We converted the designer UI code to Python code. We modularized the UI code, and right now we made the widgets do actions. In the next section, we will create advanced Python GUIs with PyQt5.